Here's a Panasonic RX-S35 Walkman. It doesn't technically say Walkman because, of course, that's copyrighted by Sony. But right here, radio cassette player RX-S35. They just had to call it that. We all called them Walkmans back then, and that's clearly what this is because something this substantial, this well-built, it's mostly metal construction, 5 years before this would have been a cassette recorder. And used for dictation or that sort of thing, probably would have been mono. By this point, this is probably from the mid-'80s, from what I've been able to figure out. They added in a radio and then all sorts of convenience features like auto reverse, Dolby, but it was playback only, and it's stereo, obviously, so metal tape capable, which was a big deal. So clearly, this was probably their top-of-the-line Walkman at the time, especially considering it has auto reverse, which was, even in home decks, still a pretty high-end feature at that time. I'm thinking around 1984. So this is all engraved here. You can't, of course, see that. This part's engraved. This is engraved. The rest of this is, well, oh no, that's kind of engraved, as is that, but it's still coming off. And this is too. Oh, I didn't realize. This is under the glass, metal tape capable. You can see inside there. Pretty standard stuff. Nice mechanism. I wonder what does that say on the head there? It says, oh, it's some sort of model number, H2S52B. I don't know. Dual capstans for reverse, of course, and you'll see it's that's the one that's engaged, the one on the left, which probably indicates, I'm trying to think here, no, that means that it's in forward. Okay, the reason I bring that up is when I received this, the reverse was pushed in, and without thinking, I pushed that in, not realizing, hey, you better wait and test this and everything. So let me see if I push back to reverse, if I hit this again, no, that one's still engaged. No. Well, no, that one's engaged. Okay, so that's definitely mechanical. Yeah, now that one's engaged. So that's the mechanical. It switches which capstan it is, and of course, the direction of the motor as well. But pretty standard controls. Fast forward, stop. It's got tape selector, metal. It's a big deal to have metal tape, although anyone using a Walkman, a lot of people, I guess if you could afford something this high-end, you would be using metal tape. Dolby, reverse. There was probably some sort of external belt clip that went onto there. That's long gone. And there's the information on Dolby being licensed in 2 AA's. 3 volts up here. These are all the controls for the radio, which again, without thinking, I just started doing this. Fortunately, it didn't, there's probably not a string in there as you would see in home receivers. It's probably just directly attached to gear or something, plastic. So hopefully less chance of having issues. We'll find out. Headphone jack, volume control, FM stereo, AM. If you want to listen to ball games, I guess, even back then. And AM, of course, still had music back then, too, to a greater extent. On the side here, 3-volt DC input, and normally I'd probably think, well, I should be bringing this up on a Variac. I don't know who used it last or how or when, but A, I don't have a Variac, and B, this is the DC, and I mean, I in theory could do it, but it's a tiny power supply, so I guess we'll find out. I don't know. There's a hole there. I'm wondering if that's not for like speed adjustment trim or something, as opposed to azimuth. But that's about it. Now, the thing that surprised me, this, in here, this still had the original realistic batteries. You probably already recognized them. They were in there, these alkaline inner cells. And these are probably from the mid-'90s, maybe the late 90s at the latest. This looks like it's just before they started having a date code that was prominent. The newer Duracells will say good till 2005. This one actually says 9111. I don't know if you can see it. So maybe these are from 1991. And clearly they're dead, but I'm also just flabbergasted and thrilled that they did not leak everywhere, at least not onto this end. And I don't know if you can see in there, probably not. Didn't seem to leak into that. So now let's fire it up with some good batteries.